Hello everyone and welcome back. We're going to continue modeling along here. I just wanted to give you guys a disclaimer for this chapter. It seems that I've gotten sick again, so I know when I started recording this, the first two videos I believe I was sick in. I've been doing this for over a month now, a month into recording these. And I've gotten sick again. It is like super snowy outside, and I guess it's just hitting me hard. So I've been coughing all day and sniffling. I will try my best to edit all of that out. But let's just see how this goes. So if I'm talking a little bit less in this part, I hope that's understandable. And I'll try and make sure I'm a little bit better for the next time I record this. Yeah, already coughing. Off to a good start. So what we're doing with this one, this part, is we're working on this blue piece here. I was able to find out that some of the other references that we have here have good breakdowns of it, as well as this one, which is the 3D scan, which hasn't been too useful up until now, but it's turned out to be very useful in this case because it confirms how exactly it's connected. The issue with a lot of the reference was I could see the shape, I could see the little handle, the screw or whatever you want to call it, and the hook. I just didn't know where it was connecting. So that's been really useful. We're going to go ahead and make that. It's not going to take us too long. Mostly just the initial shape of it is going to take a little bit. But even that is going to be relatively quick. It looks kind of like an 8 shape with another 8 shape on top with a hole punched between the two, something connecting it and wrapping up into this guy. So let's go ahead and do that. Let's start off. I think it would be easiest to just use a cube. And probably the only really difficult part here is going to be trying to figure out where to place it around this larger knob. So I think for the sake of this, what I'm going to do is just put a placeholder there. I know a placeholder for a placeholder is kind of a lot, but it'll just help us sort of gauge what we're doing. So I'm just taking a cylinder and snapping it there. And then we know that we're not going to, put it somewhere where it can't go. This obviously is a little bit extreme as far as the size of it, but it's going to do a pretty good job of telling us, hey, keep away from this area just to be safe. So let's go ahead and get this guy into position, which is good. We know we can put it roughly here, which does match the reference. Nice. So I'm just going to skinny this guy out. I'm going to get a close-up on one of the reference pieces I like. It kind of seems like we have a skinny piece like this. I'm going to cut in the middle. If I skinny this out, we can go ahead and bevel these edges and we can start to get that rounded hourglass shape that we're going for. With this part here, we're going to have to adjust it a little bit, but that gets us most of the way there, which is really nice. Beveling, of course, I just hit Control B. We've used it plenty of times at this point. And I'm going to bevel this here. So then I'm just going to go ahead and grab these and pull them down a little bit. And that's, yeah, essentially the shape we're going for right here. But the way that this works is it seems like there's a second one here attached like so, with a hook on the bottom instead. The hook is it's still rounded, and this is rounded, but the roundness just, it's round, but then this cuts in and curves out. This just goes curve, 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 hook back in. Couple ways to do that. I'm thinking Boolean might be a good option, but I do want to adjust the shape a little bit more before I agree to anything. I kind of want it to be a bit fatter. Then lengthen it a bit more. It isn't really the thickest piece of metal either, so let's do that. And then I'm just experimenting with some of these booleans. See if it's even worth doing that. It doesn't really seem like it. It's just because this seems kind of angular, but I think when we smooth it, it should be fine. Yeah, because this is kind of the shape we're going to be going for. Okay, nice. So let's go ahead and duplicate this and just stick it to the side while we work on our first one, which has this sort of knob in it. So we can accommodate for that knob by first punching a hole into this guy. Good old Boolean operation, something we're very familiar with at this point. So I'm just grabbing our good old cylinder primitive. I'm just looking at this all zoomed out. It's making me feel like we really need to scale this up. Yeah, it's definitely much more like this. Let's start with that. We can always adjust the scale later on. So rotating this guy into position. And my thought process here is I'm going to punch a hole through. I'm going to have this coming out of it so we can get that nice sort of sunken in bevel, and then the other side I'll just cap with a screw head or something, just so it looks natural, looks like it has a place to rest in. Okay. So just centering this guy out. Probably could have lowered the subdivisions on it, but it's really not the biggest deal. Because it's all going to be smoothed out later on anyways. Right, so we have this guy. We can of course go to Boolean. Shift select the thing we're cutting out with, and new Boolean operation. I'm going to go ahead and actually shrink this a little bit now that I see it. And then delete history and base objects. Nice. Let's go ahead and close off a couple more of these just so it's a bit more constrained when it decides to auto do it later on. That should do it. Essentially, I just don't want this to have to feel like it's going up here or anything. And now that this line's here, it's impossible. Sweet, so we did that. For the knob itself, we're going to need another cylinder. I guess the easiest way to get a cylinder that's going to fit perfectly would be to do a similar technique as to what we did last time, where we use our smart duplicate face. In this case, what I'm going to be doing is actually, yikes, if I can select it again. Just go to my edge tool, select this ring, shift right click, fill hole. This side I don't need anything, so I'm just going to delete these faces. And then once we reverse this, we can start working with it. So I'm just going to be doing a series of extrudes to get this kind of knob. So yeah, let's start with that. I'm going to Control E, and then I can extrude in and bring it forward a little bit. Extrude forward again. Extrude in a little bit. Maybe not so much. Extrude out again. And I guess I can just keep this down here. Control Shift A to keep it on top. Then I can start to grow it a little bit. And shrink it down. And then shift right click, I can merge to center. and we get it to cap off. Nice. So let's take a look overall. Of course, we're going to need to adjust some things, such as pull this way back. This isn't sitting with me too well either. And then I think these transitions are a little too aggressive for ZBrush to know how to automatically smooth them. So I'm just going to bevel these as well as this. Just because if the angles are too harsh, it's just not going to know that that's supposed to be perfectly rounded when I do my polish. But yeah, that's nice. That works great. One thing that I did overlook though is I am going to have to extrude this back a little bit because it needs to be more than just a face when it's in the back if I want these edges to round properly. Great. So we got that in there pretty quick. I might even just scale the whole thing in. I'm going to move my pivot to this line so it stays straight and scale it all in from there. Which means these guys were inset a little bit, which I don't like. Let's snap those back up. Cool. Yeah, and like I said before, we can cap it with a screw or something on the other side. So let's go ahead and do that. Probably just be a really simple screw like so. And then just so we don't forget it, we'll make it red. Also, I'm going to be baking this down, so let's keep it flat. That makes sense. So this could be put on, this would screw through into it. Cool. Which then leaves us to this middle piece. Let's start off by snapping in the right location. So I'm going to poke face here, and I'm going to poke face here, and then if I make this pivot here, we can snap this here, and we know it's lined up somewhat correctly. Just want to make it more like so, and then can rotate it. It seems the roundness is off. I guess because this is such a straight line, it's not really a full cylinder esque shape. But as long as it's like so, it's completely fine. I just want these edges to be matching, and this more or less, like once it's smoothed down, is going to be matching perfectly fine. Like if I hit 3 and I hit 3 here, like, yeah, when it's smoothed out like that, like it'll be fine. Of course, it's going to have more harder edges than that, but as far as the silhouette goes, it's definitely closer to how it's actually going to be. So we can definitely work with that. We're going to need a hole punch through both of these. So to keep it consistent, what I'm going to do is actually combine these two for now. Just so when I punch the hole through, I know that they're totally lined up. I'm going to go ahead and delete these guys for now, just because we really don't need them. So let's get rid of those. And we'll get another cylinder. This one's going to be a bit smaller because we just sort of want a simple connection piece down here. I am going to auto smooth this though, just so those edges are nice and soft. Oh man, excuse me. I'm coughing like crazy. Create polygon primitives cylinder. And this one we can go ahead and just for convenience sake, just drop it down to like 16 subdivs. We really don't need anything more than that. And let's just isolate these guys for now, just to keep it simple. Okay, let's line it up. So I'm going to rotate it 90 degrees. I'm going to scale this and just sort of get it in a position where it's slicing through. Yeah, I want it to be centered, so something like so should do the trick. Click, shift select, new boolean, and clean up, delete history, and base objects. Cool. And then for this guy, I don't think we really need to screw. We can just like put a cylinder through there. That kind of seems how it's done here. And I don't think we'll ever see the other side of it, so it should be totally fine. I'm going to smart duplicate this, which we can use as our cylinder. Just going to reverse it so our normals are facing the correct direction, and then we should be able to just fill a hole on each side. And this should just be super quick and easy to stick through. I'm going to give it a bit of wiggle room on each end because I know when we soften it, it's going to shrink in size. But that being said, I'm going to go ahead and make it red just so we don't forget about it. Cool. The only part left is going to be the hook, which once again shouldn't really be too big of a problem. The hook kind of seems like, yeah, so it's rounded, and then it just extends out. So initially, like I said, I was going to do a boolean to do it, but I don't know if that's the best option because it doesn't seem like anything's being cut out of it. More seems like an extension of the bottom, like it's just continuing along. So we can take a stab at that. I'm just extruding by holding shift. I'm dropping some of these edges as I go. So that's kind of getting us a hook shape. If I sort of play with it a little bit more, I'm sure I can get it quite a bit nicer. Just a series of extrudes, and as you can see I started with 3 faces, then 2, then 1, just so it has a natural shrinking size to it. And it seems like it is relatively thick, so I'm not trying to skinny it out too much or anything. And I also want to keep it a bit closer to the main body. It doesn't seem like it stretches too far away or anything like that. Okay. So yeah, if I soften it, it knows to go into a hook. Really happy with this piece. That should pretty much do it. Minus the attachment. So I'm going to put this in a group, Control G, which means we can just easily get it into a position that we're happy with. In order to do so, I'm going to put the pivot in the center based on this, because this is where it would naturally be rotating from. In the center from the back, so that I can just sort of rotate it like so. So I'd imagine, based on this reference, it comes in pretty close back here. And then of course it's lower than this, because this is where it gets slotted into. And let's get a good sense for the scale of this guy. So most of them seem straighter than how I currently have it set up. In order to fix that, I'm just simply going to poke face, take these guys, move the pivot here, and then just rotate like so. And then of course, in our outliner here, I can just go find the group for that again, and we're back in business. It kind of seems like it's hugging this, like it's wrapping around it in a sense. But also realistically, it looks like it's kind of in this like little gap before this. So ideally I would have it kind of like this. I'd have it like this, and then have this curving around it a little bit more. I'm just kind of following how this reference has it done. A bit less extreme. Something like that is how I'm interpreting it. Cool. Yeah, it also, let me just double check with my reference that this definitely seems a lot smaller than the whole cylinder. Yeah, this is like maybe not a ton smaller, but like it would be about this big. It's scaled down a decent amount. So I kind of want to build around that. Okay. Cool. All that's left to do is attach it to something up here, similar to how we did with this guy. So let's see the best way to do that. Well, in the reference, it kind of seems to actually be coming out of the middle from some sort of pipe and then up, which is actually really good because we already have this set up in place. So I'm just pressing D to reset my pivot. It's got to click off. I can just extrude this out and rotate it like 45 degrees. And I'm just doing a series of extrudes to bring this up. Let's just get it to the same height as this existing one. And I know it's cutting through right now. Just getting it into position. Scaling this down properly so that I can snap it so it's level here. Yeah, let's pull this back a bit more. Okay, cool. Not cool. This seems to be off. I'm going to select these and scale them horizontally, or rather the opposite direction to level them out. So it seems that this is currently touching the already existing one here. I'm trying to think of the quicker way to deal with it. It would probably be to move this one over. So let's go ahead and do that. Just going to be shifting that over. And then for these guys, just have them follow suit. Now I'm thinking of how exactly I want to connect this. There's a couple of ways. I could have this sort of like plug in and have it welded into place. I could have some edges be kind of taken out so it's flat and flushly resting against it, which I kind of like that idea. I think the plugin idea would probably be the easiest one. And I guess it would also make the most sense. So let's go ahead and do that. I'm going to extrude, rotate 45 degrees, and just snap it in. So in order to make this a bit more pretty, I'm going to give this guy some more room. Honestly, I think it even looks better when it's just like that. The issue is I do want to bring it all a bit closer. I'm going to auto smooth it to get rid of those hard edges. Okay. And then the only thing left to do on this part is just add this little ring here, which should be pretty quick and easy. Just going to bevel this. Select these faces, extrude something really small like 0.03 maybe, 0.02, and then simply bevel the edges. Yep. My only concern is I feel like this is too thick, but in the reference it seems rather thick as well. So maybe as a compromise, what I can do is kind of just kind of scale the whole thing down. And then that should probably do a decent job of fixing that. Cool. So that should probably do it for that part there. Let's go ahead and save. And then I said once we finished up that part, what we'd move on to next would be the brackets that we started before. So let's take a look at how exactly those are set up. Right, so they hang a bit low, they connect at the back, they have this metal rod connecting both sides, and then I had a good reference of the bottom, so they don't actually connect to anything down here, but at the bottom there's a mechanism that connects to this bar that we already have existing, so we're almost gonna completely surround it with the tech and the other stuff that we have going on. So I think for this part it'd be best if I just cut it here. I should probably gather some more appropriate reference, and with all my coughing I don't think I'm super suited to be recording right now, so we'll just call it a part at that one. But yeah, we're finally back at that rounded piece. This guy here, and then with that done, let's see again, with that part done, we go to the bottom, which is still technically the same, then we get the ends of it. So yeah, it's kind of full steam ahead on this piece and everything surrounding it. From there, what I think is probably going to be wisest would be this sort of underwood back plate. Get the ruler in back here. And then I think with the back plate and the ruler and the cylindrical piece done, that's us heading into the guts of it. And that is going to be definitely a challenge, but we'll get it done. But anyways, guys, thank you for watching this part. Hopefully you enjoyed. Definitely a bit of a shorter one, but I don't want you guys to have to listen to my sniffly coughing voice. So yeah, I'll catch you guys in the next part. Thanks for watching.